Welcome. My name is Mike Nello, Ultimike on Drupal.org and everywhere else. This presentation I've been giving pretty much at all the events that I attend, who will have me present this, about a community initiative called the IXP-Fellowship. IXP kind of stands for inexperienced. And I'm just going to give you the executive summary right now. The idea is that we are trying to develop a system that incentivizes organizations to hire new Drupal developers. That's the headline right there. Carlos and Anna really kind of started this. I joined them and there's a few other folks. We're kind of really passionate about this. That's me cooking a fish at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Good times. So we're going to talk about how this started, general overview, where we're at, and the scope. I'm kind of the scope police on this initiative. I'm the one who keeps saying no until we get the nugget that we need started. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Current status, how to collaborate, next steps. All right, so this actually came out of a bunch of conversations. And really, I'm going to go right back to Carlos Espina and a few other folks at Drupal events literally around the world who were kind of talking about this type of thing for a while. It's been a problem for a long time. There's not a whole lot of jobs for new or junior Drupal developers. Going back a few years ago when jobs for experienced developers weren't hard to come by, a little different situation today. But it's been the same situation for a while where there have not been a ton of full part-time positions for new or junior developers. Everyone's looking for someone within 5 years. And that's a real quick way, or that's a really bad way, or I should say it's a really good way to shrink a community, right? Because you need that on-ramp. On the big baseball thing, you need like the farm teams, train folks up and kind of graduate to the next step where they are experienced developers. So this is not like a US problem, it's not a Europe problem, this is just kind of in general, if you've got a community or if you have an industry and you want to keep that industry vibrant and healthy, you need a way to take folks from I don't know anything to now I'm an experienced person. You need that gentle way. So it really started at DrupalCon the idea of let's make this a community initiative. So I'll credit to these folks. So that's Tim and Carlos there, along with Raul and Moria. All right, so again, general idea, incentivize organizations. We, rather than just, cranking out, programs to train people to become Drupal developers or Drupal developers with no experience. We're looking at it from the other direction and saying, okay, what can we do to create a demand for folks like this? What can we do to incentivize organizations? And really, as a community, we have one form of currency that we can use, and that's contribution grants. That's what we can offer. That's the only thing we have that we can really offer to organization. Well, I should say that's the one realistic thing that we can offer to organization. So really, and this is where my views are very strong on this. We need to make this as easy as possible to implement in its first iteration. The lowest bar possible, so we're asking the Drupal Association for the least amount of changes and stuff, and just get this up and running and learn, figure out what we don't know, learn from our mistakes, and grow it. Well, we need to get it started. So obviously we have jobs.drupal.org. So that would be the place where organizations can post jobs for new or inexperienced developers, and then reward them. And it's up to any of us who are part of this initiative, reward organizations handsomely for hiring and sticking with a newer junior developer for a specific period of time.
So not right now, but in the Q&A section, can we brainstorm about other incentives that we might?
Do it now if you want. I can get through these slides in 15, 20 minutes, so we will have time. So I'm happy to hear any.
So if I'm thinking of hiring some Drupal developers and I hire some junior ones, I think what I would really like in return is some access to expert guidance. You know, like some 5 hours of expert guidance on my project in exchange for hiring a junior developer for you, something like that.
All right, so I'm just going to repeat that just in case I didn't pick it up. So Benji was saying that an idea for, in addition to the contribution system, to incentivize an organization to hire would, in exchange, to somehow provide expert support to that organization in exchange for hiring a new or junior developer. Okay. Yeah, like most things, I mean, the big question is, okay, well, who are these people? Who are these experts? And, but
I think on the same vein, it's like if someone has a junior developer, they need trainings, getting discounted tickets to DrupalCon, or that example, you just hired this person, you're contributing by paying that person the salary,
right,
incentivizing a free ticket to DrupalCon, even if it's 2 tickets for an organization.
right.
That might, especially if it's in the region.
So again, I'm going to repeat it just because the microphone's here and you're way over there. Another idea was to, in exchange for hiring a new junior developer, is to perhaps provide, and I'll just kind of generalize what you said and say, like, event admission. It could be for a camp or a con or something, but that could be something that could be provided as well. So, yeah, those are both really good ideas. Again, so I'm going to be the bad guy here and say those are great ideas, but in the first iteration, we want to keep it as simple and as clean and as few hurdles to say yes and get it going. So, but I'm going to move on. All right. So the journey. So this is, typically, it's not how everyone does it, but you find Drupal somehow. Either you inherit the Drupal project at your job, or someone tells you about Drupal and you're interested in changing careers or something like that. Somehow you learn about it. You learn on your own. You go to events. You do training. You read books. You watch screencasts. And at that point, you've got some knowledge. You have zero experience. You probably have some interest and maybe a little bit of passion going for it. And at that point, you're kind of an inexperienced person, right? You've got some knowledge. You can do some stuff. Probably don't have a whole lot of confidence. But at that point, you need experience. The experience to gain confidence, to learn a little bit more, to see how other people do the same or similar tasks. And that's kind of where right now in our community, there's nowhere to go, right? We have folks, there's probably folks at this event who are in this exact position. And I don't know, it's very rare that I know of an organization that's looking for, hey, do you right out of training and want to get hired? There's very few organizations. But that's really what we're looking for. We're looking to fill in that position. We're looking to incentivize folks to grab up these new Drupal developers and help grow our community. And in exchange, after, and we've got some parameters, everything's on Drupal.org. We have some proposed parameters. If you hire this person for X number of hours over X time period, a paid position, you give them access to a mentor for X number of hours a week. At the end of that period, both the organization and the person are submitting kind of weekly reports to us, just to, so we make sure everything's on the level and the person and their mentoring and the organization does. At the end of that process, we walk over to the organization and dump a wheelbarrow full of people. That's kind of the vision, right? And then at the end of that, now that person is no longer an IXP. They might be junior, but at least they have some experience. And again, for me, my focus in this initial iteration is the experience. Someone going from zero to something. And then once we learn from that aspect of it, and we get some knowledge and tweak some things, then maybe we'll expand the program to be, okay, well, now here's someone with just a little bit of experience, still not enough to get like a job that's requiring a 2 or 3 year experience Drupal developer. Now what can we do to get them up that next step from a junior to a manager? But for me, that's step 2. All right, talking about the scope. So there's a lot of little things that have to be defined because it's easy to stand up there and say we need to incentivize people to hire new developers, but okay, what does it mean to be a new developer? What does it mean to hire someone? What are the parameters for that? How do we keep track of that? And because if we're going to give an organization a bucket of contrib credits, we got to make sure that that they just didn't hire someone and have them do like busy work, for 6 weeks. And there has to be some accountability. What level of accountability is that? I'm not sure. We're not sure, but we're going to start with what we think is in the ballpark, and we're going to, see what the organization thinks, and see what the student, not the students, but the experienced folks think, and then probably iterate on that. So there's a lot of these little details that, hopefully 2-3 years from now, be a lot more automated. But we're very realistic right now that the first few iterations of this are going to be very manual for the organizers. We're going to be collecting data and figure out what works and what doesn't. So we have done most of this work already. We've defined what an IXP looks like, what an inexperienced person looks like, what skills should they have learned, to basically be ready for their first, new developer gig. The connection method, jobs.drupal.org, and we have officially asked the Drupal Association for some changes on jobs.drupal.org to better surface and promote a new section for inexperienced Drupal developers. The basic conditions of the engagement. It must be a paid position. It must be so long. It must have a mentoring aspect to it. The reporting requirements. And then a set of requirements to demonstrate that at the end of the engagement, this person is no longer inexperienced. They have some level of Drupal experience, and then the reward aspect of it. All right, so here's all the stuff that we say no to all the time. So there's a lot of folks who say, well, we should develop trainings and more documentation and collaborate with more people. And yes, great, come join us and help us do all that stuff. Right? I mean, all that stuff takes people. And, the Drupal Association Shadow Certification Program, and I like it. Now we're definitely pumping the brakes on that one. That's a lot of time and money to do any of that stuff. But there's a lot of great ideas around this. And most of these ideas are on the helping the IXP. And this first iteration, I'm really focused on, I want to make it easy for the organization to want to be involved. Right? Because in my dream scenario, we have more positions open than we have IXPs. Now, that's probably a long way off, but that's the problem we want, so that's the problem I'm kind of focusing on. And we're saying no to a lot of these, not no, but we're not saying no. We're saying, great idea, but and anybody who wants to join us and take one of these on, we're all for that. But we're not putting this stuff on our plate yet because we want to get the core aspect of the thing first. All right, so the current status is we're soliciting feedback on Drupal.org. We have a survey out there for a while. We talked to a lot of people at a lot of Drupal events for the past year and a half. And then Carlos and I sat down and basically wrote a proposal. We defined what an IXP was. Well, we defined all of these things best we could. And we made it very specific. There's a link here to the proposal if you want to see it. It's also on Drupal.org. We tried to make it very clear what we were asking of the deal. I don't think much of it's going to be a problem. I think the real discussion is what's the level of the reward, right? Personally, I think it should be the most valuable thing a company can do in the Drupal community. get credits, but it should be far and away more than a single core credit or writing a case study. It's a big commitment, but that's my opinion. I don't know if that's been shared among everyone. We do have, I know Carlos, I have a call scheduled with some folks from the DA next week or the week after or something like that. So we actually submitted the proposal a few weeks before Barcelona, which we knew was a terrible time and it wouldn't get looked at until after Barcelona. We tried to kind of be very patient on this. Wasn't just back in the past couple of weeks we reached out to them and said, okay, let's have this discussion. But I don't think we're asking for a lot. Yeah, it's all there. Yeah, there's a QR code if you want to get to the proposal. And so the main tasks are the skill set survey, define what IXP is, that's done with that. Changing to jobs.drupal.org, figure out what the reward is, and then this is probably something that we will work on once we know that everything else is moving forward. We've got a lot of folks asked about on the organization side of things, what do I do with these folks? Like, what can IXPs actually do? What should the mentors be doing? What should they be helping the organization to make efficient use of these folks? And that's definitely something I have experience with and other people in the Community Initiative. So this will probably start happening just as soon as we know that the rest of it is moving. So we've got enough feedback that seems like a pretty important bit to help organizations understand and just give them ideas. Internal projects are great. Repetitive Drupal tasks, they're boring, but they're great for new folks. Having someone sit down and update modules for a week in a rigorous methodical process, that's a great task. So there's a lot of stuff like that that we want to share and encourage employers and kind of get their brains going a little bit, saying, okay, well, this isn't something that I necessarily have to lose money on. This is something I can leverage and actually help our business. Yeah, so what can you do? Well, you can join us in Slack. You can check out all of our stuff on Drupal.org. If your organization is interested in this, then obviously let us know. Just help us spread the word about it. Talk to folks in the VA. Don't be hard to mention this every now and then. And just kind of help us get this out in the. This why I use the word zeitgeist. Is that the right word? Zeitgeist. Get it out of the zeitgeist. Am I using that correct? Yeah. Just popped in my head. This might be. You might have all just witnessed the first time I've actually used that word correctly. It's a big moment for me. Yeah, so there are our URLs. How do we make it happen? At this point, we're just in discussions with the DA about it. Yeah, so that's a slide. So normally I'm giving this presentation a lot, 20 minutes, like I said. But open it up for questions. Comments, thoughts, happy to discuss anything.
I'm really excited about the added support for organizations to make it happen, because I know that, it almost gives them confidence. There's a lack of confidence on both sides. They don't want to bring someone in and have them fail. They don't want to have to spend a ton of time, developer time, in helping this developer do small tasks. They need to feel confident that they're going to be successful.
Yeah, that's kind of, and that actually is part of the skill set aspect as well, knowing what you're going to do. Yeah. So, but we realize that type of documentation for both the IXP as well as the organization is going to be important moving forward. But we do want more than. For me, that's easy stuff, because I have a lot of that stuff already. I do a lot of that stuff with my business anyway. But culturally, it can be very different in other parts of the world. So I think that's going to be a very important aspect. You have a lot of different voices and a lot of different places. I'm giving an idea of what kind of task or role is really good for these things. So.
So there's probably coverage in there. I would figure out, but besides paying gigs, it seems really important to establish like portfolio stuff. So I wonder if part of the agreement is that when people employ IXPs, they leave them with something they can point to that they can claim.
No, we don't have, that's the, it's a good point. I don't know if I've actually thought about it. As you started asking the question, what popped in my head was it would kind of really stink if the IXP was under an NDA and wouldn't be able to talk about their work. So that might actually be something that we might really want to think about, make that a requirement of that students, I don't know if we can say they can't be put under an NDA, but there has to be some aspect of their work that they could share publicly.
Yeah. If it's under NDA, then maybe just like a written like certificate, like thank you.
Something, something, Because otherwise, you can say that you have the experience, but you can't talk about the experience, not be very different things. That's a good thought for sure.
You see this as like a temporary engagement or setup? Like this is a 6-month or 1 year sort of program, paid internship in a way, and then obviously the firm could continue their relationship with that person.
Yeah.
Is there a sort of beginning and end of
There's a
timeline from IXP to junior developer?
For us, the end is, and I honestly forget what the length of the engagement is that we define in that document. But for us, the end is, whatever that time period is, and the organization gets rewarded. We're not suggesting that at the end of that, the organization, boots the person out the door. We would love, obviously, if the organization kept that person out. We're here to just incentivize that first step. I don't think that we would promote it in any way, saying, hire this person, get the most you can out of them for 6 weeks and move on to something, But for our role in it at this point in time, it's just to get through that defined period, get them contribution credits. And then I could see initially in the short term, what you're talking about being more on best practices, like how do we grow this person, past that point to the next. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Where in the process are you with the duplication?
They have a proposal. We've only ever heard, yes, it sounds great, we want to do it. But we haven't actually gotten down to, yes, we will do it. Here's the tasks. Again, we are not asking for a ton of change. I mean, this is maybe like a day's work. We're asking for like a special taxonomy and a landing page, more visibility. And I think the big discussion, the one that's going to take some time, is size of the report. Because I'm sure that there's, I know there's one. So, like I said, we have a call scheduled either next week or the week after. Now I was hoping by the end of the year. But we're motivated.
What sort of organizations are you thinking of for hiring these IXPs? Are you thinking of agencies or government or?
It doesn't matter to me, honestly. I don't think I care. Because as long as they fulfill the requirements, meet the requirements, provide mentoring, it's a paid position, and the student is learning, right? And how getting experience.
You just don't think that end users are going to be incentivized by contribution?
Well, I agree. I mean, I don't think I think this is mainly geared towards folks who hire Drupal. whether it's in the nonprofit sector and agencies and big companies that have a small team of Drupal developers. I think the healthiest teams have, people of all skills. Beginner, junior, middle, these healthy teams that I've seen, teams that are healthiest that I've seen have that progression so that the folks who are learning, they can aspire. The folks who are in the middle, they can aspire. Everyone can aspire. That's a little Pollyanna, but that's the.
Are there any plans, like, as far as, let's say, whatever your allotted time, like 6 months or whatever it was, are there going to be like regular progress check-ins to keep things on track?
Yeah, that's part of our proposal for sure. We want to protect both the organization, probably a little bit more the community. So one of the requirements for the organization to get those contribution credits is that they are submitting, I don't know if they're weekly reports to us, I forget what the is. But if they're not submitting those to us and letting us know what their developers up to, we don't have to give them the contribution. And on the other side of things, we want to make sure that the developer is having good experience as well. So there's going to be a requirement for them to check in with us fairly frequently. Every other week, once a month, I forget what we define it as, but that's all. In order to get the pot of gold at the end, everyone has to have a good experience. Again, I'm sure that there's stuff that we haven't thought of that we're going to learn along the way. Progress reports are going to be a big part of that. Yeah, no, this is definitely not a introduce, all right, go away, tell us when you're done in 12, 16, 18 weeks, and here's your contribution. There has to be accountability. So Carlos and I and Anna and a few other folks kind of realized, okay, well, it's going to be very manual first. We'll look at them together, and then maybe we can automate it. Yeah, we still have to figure all that out, but I'm very much of the mindset, there's so much we don't know that we're not going to do anything automated if we don't know what the hell we're doing. We don't know what the hell we're doing. Yes. Hold on, Chris.
So this is going to feel a little bit like a swoop.
What?
Like a swoop and poop.
All right, awesome. Fantastic.
But I really question the viability based on the reward being.
I know.
And it's because I'm a small agency who has got some contribution credits in the last 2 years. That's nothing for me.
Well, I know.
I haven't got a single lead from it. I haven't generated work from it. I don't sweat my tail. And I think that's a big dirty secret here is that at the end of the day, contribution credits don't do anything. And that is the saddest statement that I think I've ever made at a Drupal. Man,
City Bank made it in this section.
yeah.
That's definitely.
Mentor engineers.
Right.
But it costs my firm because I'm not building as a senior. I'm mentoring a junior sample. Right? I don't need contribution credit. The only reason I'm going for contribution credits is to try to get I need to be subsidized for mentoring.
No, I agree.
Or I need to be given the mentor, right? For free to say, I'll supervise this mentorship. It's so scary to be putting in all this effort and the viability is really.
I've thought a lot about exactly what you're thinking. And it's totally out of scope of any of this stuff. But
It's really a contribution credit system, period.
well, I really try to look at the positive side of it. And so I'll start with that. Like, no other open source project that I know of has anything close to our contribution credit system. That's a big feather in our cap. But that doesn't mean it's a fantastic program. So I think the contribution credit system. So now we're in Mike's opinion and not not part of this initiative conversation anymore.
Just one guy.
Yeah. But the contribution credit system should be expanded greatly so that it's like it's a currency. So that for organizations like yours, if you've got a pile of contribution credit, you can spend it. And, what does that mean? Well, maybe you get a discount to sponsoring someone. Maybe that buys you, time, with the DA, maybe that, X number of credits gets you a sponsorship of one of those new documentation people. But there should be more ways to spend contribution. But you're absolutely right. Right now, there's only one way to spend them, and it's on that marketplace rank, which is if you're not there, okay, yeah. So I'm a big believer in that there should be more ways to spend it, and there should be more ways to earn it. One of those ways, and then the ultimate goal is there should be ways to trade those from organizations and buy. It's kind of like buying carbon.
Yeah, it's like those are carbon.
It's an economist, right? And that's far out, and that's a whole. I'm not
It's a different initiative.
Yeah, that's a different initiative, but I know exactly what you're saying. For right now, other than Andy's idea and Jacob's idea about other incentives, contribution credits is the currency that we have. I think there's actually something, I'm going to talk to Carlos, especially about the DrupalCon tickets. That's happened. What I don't have $700-800 at this point for that's can bangle those as well. That's I think somewhat financial is indirect financial. But yeah, no, I take your point exactly, and I'm with you on it. That's what we have. There's nothing else that we can offer than good feelings and good vibes. I appreciate the comment.
Because I love the good vibes. Like, I would love to take on a junior. I would love for my company to be able to afford me taking a junior. You can see the pipeline through. I'm a teacher at first. And I love, our early days where hire juniors, train them exactly how we want them, they build things in our system, and it got unsustainable. Hire juniors, I think let's be that's time to take senior people away. That's what we need to address today.
Yeah, I would love for this, this program to become official enough or structured enough so that this is something that would be eligible. The VA could go out and find grants and stuff. Well, there has to be two, no one's going to fund an idea in a Google Doc, right? We need to have it operating and structure and some type of proven results before I think we can go out and ask some foundation or pile of money to help, as you say, subsidize this program.
That's a good point. The state of Maine, we just voted in state referendum to increase grants for technology companies in Maine to renew them. So to be able to give technology companies grants for hiring tech workers. Anything about grant writing, I don't know how to get that money.
So I'll
Bring that money out.
Well,
I got 20 grand. You listen.
We can't, we can't go after the grants with ideas. We have to go after the grants with stuff in place and operate. So there's been, Jim, one second. There's been talk about an official mentoring program in Drupal community for years, but again, that takes a lot of freaking people, a lot of freaking time. Consistency. So we're not there yet. Sure.
How is this different from or the same as Discover Drupal?
Very different. Discover Drupal was taking on the responsibility of the training and mentoring. Right? This is basically just a incentivizing the organizations to have the responsibility of some of that. But then also, leaving it up to the individual, for now, I should say, leaving it up to the individual to learn. Right, so this is the individual process, the current iteration of individual process. We're looking for them to interact with to engage with this program. Where Discover Drupal was started. That big.
That program was on hiatus for 2024, but is it going to come back?
You're not talking about it. I would love to answer. I would love to answer. Again, it's one of those things,
Feels like it could be a piece of.
It feels like it fills the gap for like, okay, I discovered Drupal.
well, this, I'm not looking to it's kind of Drupal, there needs to be changes to it, and lessons learned from actions. And I don't know what the status, but there is a status that hasn't been shared. We were having Drupal using my company is heavily involved. For those stuff, well, all the iterations.
But that's still just covered, find Drupal, learn Drupal, and it didn't get them anywhere past having a job to go to with the knowledge.
I think the relevant aspect, I think what Discover Drupal did. No, it didn't. It didn't get another machine.
So that we're just taking the next step.
Yeah, we're kind of starting. We're Discover Drupal. Yeah, I guess it'd be great for if Discover Drupal was a thing, then they would be entering the stuff. I know I keep repeating this, but I'm so laser focused on just like the core part of this. But sometimes I don't understand my vision as much as I should, but yeah, it's a good point.
Could you give us a little more information about what someone should be able to do to come into the program? What they can do for a company that's going to hire them? Just a little more specifics about what's in it.
Yeah, about what our definition of an experience, like what should an inexperienced person know in order to get qualified? Yeah, it's basic site building skills, basic command line skills, Git, Composer, knowledge of information architecture, adding, configuring, shred modules, a basic understanding of theme anatomy, a basic understanding of module anatomy, obviously views, developer workflow processes, kind of understanding the local dev test, live environment structure, and moving things between that structure. Processes around updating modules and earlier there's more details in the proposal. I'll lay it out there. That's the basics. We're not looking for folks who are comfortable developing modules or theme developers yet. If someone comes in from a strong JavaScript background, what they're learning is probably going to be more on the front end side anyway, because that's where they're interested. So they might enter with a strong front end background, but a beginner level Drupal. And I can see where that would be very attractive to someone. I don't expect, at least at the beginning, I expect that folks entering the program will have some web development experience in the background. Probably not. If I had to guess, it could be, probably some career changes in there who's coming in from some other random industry. I expect full on beginners, stakeholders. Anybody else? No.
Kind of with my neighbor here.
Yeah.
Entry level developers in the agency world is very difficult to obtain to be able to.
Right.
Whereas other industries might be a better target demographic, like higher education,
Correct.
nonprofits, where they can use Drupal and develop.
Right.
Get a bigger picture. And again, credit system becomes great for that. But something like case studies and press releases, Drupal.org might give you case studies training for organizations.
So having the developer write case studies or something? No.
Or have you write case studies about the organization, about how great they are, as they hire.
Oh, right.
You know.
Okay, as the reward.
Yeah, so that might be something that you'd be able
Okay.
to trade your credits for an official Drupal.org press release.
Well. That's not a bad idea.
What would I do? Not a bad idea. I think that's terrible.
I'll write down those three.
In the not yet category,
Yeah.
alongside with like the potential for grants, there could be a sponsorship opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the one thing that we're very cognizant of, is like, we don't want to, the VA is so focused on partners and all that stuff. We don't want to get like in a competition.
Right. We already are, but yeah.
Yeah.
Events and stuff like that.
Right, like we want to do this the right way, hopefully, so that it's just, we need the DA's help with this. Like, we can't really, well, I guess we could do it outside of the DA, but it would be better. If it wasn't part of it.
It seems like it's in there to grow the community.
Well, yeah, it seems like a no-brainer to me. Right? I have a high degree of confidence that will happen. I just don't have a high degree of confidence of when it will happen and what it will actually be.
Is there like a formal board that is going to monitor the stuff, like, or is that something that will be decided before it gets kicked off?
No, I think that's gonna fall to the folks on the team right now. If the DA comes and says, we want to be involved in monitoring, that's gonna be great.
How many people are on?
I mean, active, there's probably 5 months. Did you have another question?
I was just thinking, development, there's a lot of other disciplines, city board development. I don't know if that'll be considered at all.
Yeah, we've talked about it. But again, it's just a matter of, we wanted to limit the scope at first to kind of what the people involved are comfortable with, just to get it rolling. But yeah, no, they're definitely not, not all of these IXPs are going to have the same skill set. So, we should absolutely, figure out where are those, what are those groups that we can. What are the bigger swaths of groups that we can pull into the program? So, well, thanks. These are great comments. I really appreciate all that. Honestly, I give the presentation, not to give the presentation, but to get feedback and discussion about it. I do appreciate it. But thank you very much. I'll be here the rest of the day and a little bit this evening if you want to talk about it for more. Otherwise, other than that, what's that?
Time for meatball.
It is time for the meatball light.